You have to scale and have a big business to make profit, right? No. In a world that says you need to bring more people in for a lower price and build it from there and have more offers in order to be profitable and in order to have freedom, I just had to invite a guest on that had a different perspective. Having a personal brand can and is a highly profitable experience in business. And this guest has had multiple. It might not feel true for you to scale and go big and get more in. If it doesn't, you have to tune into today's episode in order to learn the different pillars of having a profitable personal brand. Are now entering the realm of white hot business. This is where you plug the leaks in your bedroom, relationships, and intimacy so that you can master the power dynamics in business and leadership. Know that what happens behind closed doors is being mirrored or projected into your business. I'm your host, sexologist and power dynamics mentor, Lauren White, and I'll guide you to become the woman that's available for more of what she wants and desires simply by delving into the uncharted waters of your voice, erotic body, and shadows. It's time to revolutionize your business and bedroom from lukewarm to white hot. There is a wealth of wisdom about to come your way. This pioneer stands as one of Australia's foremost brand strategists, a dynamic force in business celebrated for her talent in crafting compelling brands and inspiring individuals to lead purposeful and fulfilling lives. From leaving home at 17 with nothing more than a country road bag and $250 in her bank account, she is the living testimony of what it takes to build an empire from nothing. Now a 3-time finalist for the Big Idea Awards, she excels as a presenter, brand strategist, and business mentor. Her latest venture, Inspired Founders, is Australia's premier boutique startup club for multi-passionate creatives, e-commerce, and personal brands. This unique platform empowers members to accelerate their income while reclaiming their time. And it has a podcast of the same name. She's a sought-after thought leader, sharing strategies on balancing her roles as a wife, mom, and global empire maker who is on a mission to guide female entrepreneurs to align their brands with their authentic selves, enabling them to realize their full potential without sacrificing time or happiness. Priscilla Skippington, welcome to the White Hot Business Podcast.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me. It's always funny listening to your bio back, isn't it? It's like, oh yeah, I do that. I do that.
I think it's easy to forget what you do. And I mean, you put the term multi-passionate, you've got the term multi-passionate in there. And it's so easy, I find for myself as a multi-passionate person, it's so easy to forget all of your, like some of your parts and what you've done. It's like, oh yeah, and I did that and I did that, especially when we're doing our own thing and our focus needs to be on the now and what's happening next. I always find it so beautiful to just have that introduction there as a, fuck yeah, I've done a few things. When you're in the mud of what's happening today and what's happening next week and what's happening next month.
Yeah, for sure. That's so true. And I definitely have multi-passionate in there. And you're probably similar in that as an entrepreneur and many creative entrepreneurs, we are multifaceted. And there's always a journey when it comes to entrepreneurship. It's never, this is my idea, this is what it's going to be, and that's it forever.
Yeah.
It's an evolving journey, as you know. And so that's why multi-passionate is a huge thing that I talk about, because you might start here, but it's not where you're going to end up. It's just a starting point, and we get to weave and we get to create magic and we get to be creative along the way. And I think that's the beauty of entrepreneurship and why I enjoy business so much, because I get to do that every day.
Yeah, we get to evolve. And I think the words get to are really important. It's especially for multi passionate people that are like, oh, are they going to get it? Are they going to come with me on this journey? Is it going to be well received? And it's like,
Mm,
no, you get to evolve and you get to be a way shower. And that's a really powerful position to
mm,
be in. Is that something that you've experienced
for sure.
as a creative?
Yeah. And it's really interesting you touched on, will people come along with me
Yeah.
on this journey? And I think that's a really big one. And I've felt that so many times in my journey. Where I started as a little old graphic designer, no one knew about me. No one knew who I was. I'd done some great things at my jobs, but when I went out in business, I was literally nobody. So I started networking events to grow my profile and grow my brand. And the event space was really where I started to build a community. I started to build my own reputation of who I was, and people got to know me on a real level. I wasn't just behind a computer or doing the graphics. I became a person, a personality.
Mm.
And the reason I say that is because I started as a graphic designer. I went into events. I've had multiple different businesses as well, from network marketing to product businesses to events and presenting and podcasts and so many things now, that there's been so many moments along the journey where I've gone, God, what are people going to think now? They're probably so tired of seeing me posting something new or my new business venture or my new brand that I'm creating. But what I've learned is the people who really follow you, who genuinely want to be part of your community and who see you for who you are, they will follow you no matter what you do.
Mhm.
And the people who don't, it's okay. They served a purpose for like a
Yeah.
moment in time,
Yeah.
and you will find new people along the journey.
Mhm.
And I think that's really important to any multi-passionate people or people starting a new business or a new brand. Don't be worried about what people are going to think, because the people who genuinely want to follow you and be part of your community will follow, and you'll find new people along the way. At the end of the day, you've got to do what lights you up the most.
Yeah. What's the risk? What's the risk from your point of view if you do get bogged down in that? What will people think and not following
Mm.
what lights you up and turns you on?
For sure. For me, it's that unfulfillment piece, not feeling fulfilled, feeling like you're being everything for everyone else and not for yourself. And especially for women, I feel like we do this a lot. We put everyone else before ourselves, including sometimes our business network and our business. We put it before yeah, what we need the
Yeah.
most.
Yeah.
And so I think the biggest struggle with doing that is that you end up burning out. You end up becoming exhausted and unfulfilled, and you probably end up leaving the business
Mm.
eventually
Mhm.
because it's not ticking all of your boxes. So I'm not one for staying in your lane
Yeah.
unless you really want to.
I feel that. I feel like the timing of this is really powerful as well. There's never, I think women need to hear this on repeat on a daily basis
Mm.
is to really come back to that fulfillment. What illuminates you? What drives you? What do you feel compelled to do? What do you just have to put out there? What is keeping you up at night? What is waking you up early in the morning? What it is. And I actually have a question nestled in my questions for you. Your idea for Inspired Founders was one of those, it was a stroke of lightning at what,
Yeah.
2 or 3 a.m., I think you
Yeah.
mentioned. And what I really want to know is, A, can you just give us like a quick download of that experience? Because I've had the privilege of hearing it, but
Mhm.
listeners haven't. And why did you not follow that at the time that it struck? That's what I really want to know. It was a not now thing, and I just want to know what it was like from your perspective.
Yeah. Okay. So great question. It was a little over 3 years ago. At that time in my life, I had my design agency. I still had my network marketing business, but I was feeling this like friction and unalignment with what I was doing. I loved my design agency, but it wasn't fully fulfilling all the things that I saw for myself. And my network marketing business at the time, it was never about the network marketing. It was about the people. And I see this now, that I always wanted to help people start their own businesses. And at the time, I thought it was through network marketing because it was the easiest way to help people get started.
Yep.
but I felt this level of friction. And so sleep one night, it was the only way I can describe it. I know I probably said this on the night of Inspired Founders. It felt like a lightning bolt. It was like a lightning bolt woke me up, sat me up in my bed at 2 or 3 a.m. And all I heard was Inspired Founders. And I was like, what is that? I have no idea. Anyway, so I thought I'll go and Google what is Inspired Founders. I took my laptop into my walk-in robe and closed the door, turned the light on so I wouldn't wake anyone up. And I went Googling and there was no Inspired Founders. And I was like, okay, this is interesting. How about I register the business name? Because by that stage, I'd made so many business names, I knew how to do it like in 5
Such an
seconds.
entrepreneur thing. I'm going to register that. I'm going to get the URL. Like
Yeah,
I'm in.
so I did. So I did. I registered all the social handles. I got the business name, got the domain within 5 minutes. But it was very much one of those things like, okay, I know something's coming, but I have no idea what that is. It was a real blank. Like there was just a name. That's all there was. And there was a couple of times throughout those, like the last 3 years where I've gone, okay, well, let me just try and make something here. Let me try and craft something for this business. And every time I did, I felt like an energetic block. I felt like nothing's flowing. And I'm a big person being a creative as well. I'm a big one for flow. So if things aren't flowing and they're not feeling aligned and it's not easy and things aren't moving quickly, I'm like, it's not happening.
Yeah.
So I just kept the idea was there, but nothing was ever really sitting. So I focused on my design agency. I also had a lot of personal growth that I had to go through now looking back on it. I had a few different business mentors and different things happened. And then it was only with my most recent business mentor, end of last year, that we did a meditation session. And in that, it was like, visualize your grandest being, your grandest life. What does that look like? And it was the first time in probably my entire business journey that I'd actually seen what I'm here to do very vividly, very clearly. And I just knew that was Inspired Founders. And so from end of last year through to March this year, I pretty much just put together, this is what I want to create. This is what I'm doing. And then within 4 weeks, launched the event and the podcast. So once, I'm a big one again for flow. So once I knew what I was working towards and what it looked like, I everything just started to fall into place.
Yeah. And your network marketing experience is flowing into this. Am I right in saying that?
For sure, yes. So it's really interesting because I had a lot of shame I had to work through with that as well. Anyone who's been in network marketing, done network marketing, potentially been burnt by network marketing, a lot of people have experiences that, not that mine was bad, and I had hundreds of women in my network and they were incredible women, and I loved helping women get started in business. But there is a level of shame that came with network marketing. If I'm just completely honest in that.
Be honest.
Yeah, probably from feeling like I was trying to put people in a box, and it's so far against what I stand for.
Yeah.
I'm very much for helping people to get started, but it's like, what is actually your thing? What's your magic? What's your creative genius?
Yeah.
And let's build a business out of that. And so I had to work through a lot of that. But what's been really interesting is there's quite a few people who were part of my network marketing business that have now come on the journey with me and are now working with me as mentoring clients. And we are building businesses that truly light them up, that are their zone of genius. And so, yes, the community I built then has very much been along for the journey. And I'm now helping some of them as well in the next phase of their journey, which is really exciting.
Yeah, brilliant. Look at that. That's a timing nugget, right? You've planted roots in other iterations of your business and the businesses that you've had, and you get to experience the fruit that comes from that years on. And I just want people to hear that because it's so easy to thin slice and see someone and see their success, if I can
Mm.
use that, see their success and see that illumination within their brand, but to not know the full story of how far back some of those relationships go.
Yeah, exactly. And I think in that as well, it's really important to be aware that even if you've closed the door on something, it's never really the end. It's
Mm,
actually just the beginning. So every single business, every single event I've ever run, any communities I've built, I see glimpses and nuggets of every single part of my journey now contributing to who I am and what I do now. And even the people, like I said, have come along. So yeah, nothing is ever done and dusted. It's just a learning experience. It's just part of the journey.
yeah. I'm going to put it out there. I love having a personal brand and I want to put a voice to that. I feel, in fact, when I had my Osmumpreneur interview, they said, "Is there anything else that you want to add?" And I said, I just want to say I love having a brand where I don't work with many people, but the women I work with are so influential that when I work with them, I work with 1,000 people
Yeah.
indirectly because of the ripple effect from that. So I just want to put it out there that I love having a personal brand. And I think there's just what I see is so much about the scalability and the multi-monthly recurring revenue, which is amazing, of course, and you can have that in your personal brand. But I also just feel a need or a pull to be a loudspeaker for the women that have a very intimate personal brand
Mm.
and and a high touch personal brand. So I would love your hot take on the power of having a personal brand and making it profitable. Like finding that, I assume you've experienced this yourself and you're now supporting other women to do this, other
Mm.
people to do this. Like
Mhm.
where's that sweet spot of keeping that personal part of personal brand and
Yeah.
not getting lost amongst, yeah, and still making it profitable, but not getting lost and really far away from the core
Yeah.
desire.
Yeah. This is a really great question. I'm so glad you've asked it. It's a common question, actually, I get, especially with
Mm.
women in the club, because most of the time people come to me with, this is my business brand. And it's cool. That's great. And you should have an amazing business brand, but people are going to buy from you. And especially with the people I work with, similar to yourself, where we become known for us and our gifts and who we are in the world. And that's where we make the biggest impact. Our
Mm.
businesses support us, but we are the face of it.
Mm.
And so I would say there is a fine line. I do see a lot of personal brands that end up becoming a business brand
Mhm.
because it becomes a bit of a mask, a facade for, well, now I need to look like this to be this person.
Mhm.
But what I've realized through my 12, 14 years experience as a graphic designer brand expert, but also from being a businesswoman and having a personal brand myself is authenticity is key.
Mm.
And so the way I believe I've had success, if I can use that word,
Yeah.
through having a personal brand is through keeping it as real as I can. I tend not to share much of my children anymore. That's been a personal decision
Yeah.
just because I feel like they're still little and they need privacy. But I do try to share from a place of what's raw for me, what's real for me, what am I working with clients on at the moment, what am I learning, what am I going through, and having some pretty curated pieces, but also having some real, very raw pieces as well that where people can truly connect with you and build that relationship with you. I have people who I've never met before. They'll run into me on the street and be like, "Oh, you're Priscilla. I know you do this." And I'm like, "Huh? What?" But it's so beautiful because it's because of the personal brand and because of the brand that I've built online that people feel like they know me. And I
Mm.
think that is really, really important. And that is how it becomes profitable when people will buy anything you sell because they feel like they know you
Mm.
and they want to be part of what you're creating. They want to be part of that journey. And that's why, again, going back to the multi-passionate, having multiple businesses, I've been able to do that because throughout all of the brands I've built, there's been me standing at the top of it.
Mm.
And I believe that people have come along all through those businesses because at the end of the day, it's me developing them.
Fascinating. And
Does
it's
that answer your
your
question?
yeah, it does. And it's your authenticity that's magnetizing no matter what brand it is that you're positioning or promoting.
That's what I believe. Yeah.
What do you think women in business need to know about profitability when having a personal brand? You've just mentioned authenticity. You've mentioned that beautiful blend of, because actually, I've got another question for you
Okay.
before we go there. I
Okay.
want to talk to you about beauty because I'm a big beauty lover. It's one of my values. It's all, beautifully nestled in my birth chart, and I love Venus energy.
Yeah.
So I'm just wondering, from what you've witnessed, especially like coaching and the coaching industry in particular, has undergone rapid transformation in the last 12 or 14 years since you and I have been entrepreneurs. And I'm just wondering, how important is beauty in creating a personal, profitable brand in your and your experience?
This is a really great question. I just want to ask you a question back, actually.
Yeah. Go for it.
um, when you say beauty, do you mean like products and like how you look and how you show up? Or is it like an aesthetic of like, what do you mean when you say beauty?
An aesthetic, a brand, like in particular, and it could be product. I'm not familiar with products because I am from a consumer perspective, but not as a business owner. I haven't had products, but how important is the aesthetic of beauty to a
Mm,
brand? And does it make a difference from what you've seen in its profitability? And I understand beauty is subjective, but just creating that clear, beautiful aesthetic for a brand.
yeah. Okay. Yes. I love this. So back in the day when I used to hold branding workshops, people used to call me the branding beauty.
Not surprised.
Not
Not surprised.
surprised. It never really stuck, and I always felt a little bit like, oh, I don't know how I like that or not. But it's so funny that this has now come about. I would say the way I design, and especially through my agency and I believe how I've attracted most of my clients is through that. I create beautiful aesthetics. It's very elegant, it's very sophisticated, it's very minimalist, timeless, beautiful is how most people describe my aesthetic. And so I believe from my opinion, yes, it works because it's worked for me. But it's also I'm currently designing the next event, the next Inspired Founders event, which you are going to want to be at, by the way, you particular. And the reason I bring that up is there's an element that I want to bring beauty into that. I want to bring elegance and sophistication and something completely next level because I want to transcend people. I want to take people into this wonderland, this magic of life that people don't get to experience sometimes on a day-to-day basis. I know you and me are a bit more woo-woo and live in that land, but not everyone does.
Mm.
And so for me, business, entrepreneurship, branding, it is a way to take people on a journey and put them into a land or a place that they're not used to being in.
Yeah.
And I think when you can make that beautiful and when you can make that an experience, people are more likely to be part of it because it feels like it's like watching Bridgerton. People are obsessed with it at the moment on Netflix because it is taking you out of an everyday world and putting
Yeah.
you into something that we want to be part of, but it's just not reality. So
Yeah.
people want that. And so if you can bring that through in your personal brand, business brand, whatever it may be, absolutely do it. Make it as beautiful as you can because people will want to be part of something, an experience that you create.
Yes, yes. And I'm also hearing like a sprinkle of fantasy as well, like
Yeah.
really getting people out of the ordinary, the maybe monotonous, and taking them into another world. which is, yeah, we're on the same wavelength. We're on the same
I know that's all
wavelength
your
there.
stuff, Chris.
Yeah. So we've talked about authenticity as a part of profitability. We've talked about beauty as a part of profitability. And I imagine the alignment and the beauty overlaps. It's like a light. It's got to be like you said, it's got to light you up. That
Yeah,
beauty for your brand has to light you up first. Am I right in saying that? Because if
correct.
you're not into
Exactly.
it,
Yes.
we've
Yeah,
got a
absolutely.
problem.
And everyone's beauty is different, right?
Yeah.
What someone
Yeah.
sees as beautiful is very different to the next person. And so that's for me as a designer or brand expert, that's for me to really intuitively, I think I do it, intuitively tune into what is it they're seeing for themselves? What is it they want to create in their world? What's their beauty look like? And then making that their reality. So I think everyone's definition of beauty is different.
That's it. Make it your own. Make it your own first, I'd say. Make
That's
it your
right.
own first. I think we both have a responsibility here
Mm-hmm.
on this podcast to dispel a bit of a myth around awards, if I can go with you, because you have been won and been nominated for multiple awards in your time. And I'm really embarrassed to say this, up until a year ago, I seriously thought you got selected, like you just got selected by whoever was running the awards. I had no idea, even though I've been in this game a long time, I had no idea how awards worked. I was like, oh, you've been selected. And then we're going to put you up for an award and you might win the award because you've been chosen from like the entrepreneurs
Yes.
that are out there doing the thing. I cannot believe that I had no idea how awards work. I now know. I now know.
Yes.
I want to just
Yes.
dispel the myth
Yes.
of you being nominated, selected, platform obscurity. You have to put yourself out there, right? You have to, well, someone might nominate you,
Yes.
but it's on you to do the rest of the heavy lifting as a nominee.
Yes, it is. Yeah, I'm really glad you've touched on this because this is edgy as F. And for people that don't know, this is actually brilliant because I had no idea either. So my very first award back in the day was a Square Peg Award, which was so fitting for me.
Yeah.
It was actually a design award, but I was like, this is my favorite award ever because I am very much that square peg that does not fit in that round hole.
Yeah.
But the Osmompreneur Awards, for example. So I was nominated and I got this email through saying you'd been nominated for Osmompreneur Award. Fantastic. At that time, I had no idea that you had to pay to be to take it to the next step and to fill in an application. And I felt a bit of resistance around that because I was like, this doesn't feel like a real award. Someone's nominated me, which is beautiful, lovely. But now I need to pay my way through this. Understand the awards need to make money.
Yes.
Totally
yes,
understand
yes.
it needs to be profitable. Understand why they do it. But it felt a little bit weird for me. So you have to pay your way to be part of it. And then I believe in my instance, I have been up for public voting ones before as well.
Yes.
So that
People's
was
choice.
People's choice. I have been up for that before, which felt a little bit better because I was like, this is truly based on my network and community.
Interesting. Yeah.
But I will say this time round, because I'm part of this year's nominations as well, the judges, they are beautiful. It's wonderful to be part of it. But I actually have never been a winner of the Osmompreneur Awards. My first time I was nominated, I did go down to Melbourne and I was part of it. It was a fantastic event, like really loved it. There's a lot of people I knew and a lot of people I didn't know who I met. It was really wonderful. I wasn't a winner, but the experience was fantastic and I'm glad I put myself out there. But I have had resistance now doing it multiple times because I'm like, should I be paying for myself to win these awards? I just don't know if that feels right. What else do you want to break open here? Because I don't know.
Well, it comes back to, I wanted to bring that up because I think it's important to dispel the myth that in entrepreneurship that certain people are chosen and selected, and it still is about advocating for yourself, putting your name in the ring, being visible, stepping forward, and that it still has an edge to it. I just think I just felt it was important to dispel that because I was under the impression, oh, I'm not part of a
Yeah.
club. I'm not being chosen. What am I not doing right? Like I really just thought it was I just took it personally. I actually didn't know.
Yeah,
There's
no,
a whole
yes.
operation that has a procedure and steps. And
Yeah,
yeah, now that I've put my name forward for 2 different awards this year, I'm like, "Oh, it requires some serious heavy lifting on my part." And I've got a choice as to
yeah,
whether
yeah.
I allow myself to be visible in this way or
That's
not.
right.
And it brings up the question that you were asking, is it authentic for me? Is it congruent for me to do this? And now that I've seen what an operation it is, I totally get why you have to pay.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
Not a nominal amount, like a nominal
Yeah,
amount,
yeah,
but I see
yeah,
why there's an investment there. And it really is, are you going to put your name forward? Are you going to allow yourself to be visible in that way? And I
that's
just,
right. Yeah,
yeah,
no, absolutely. I think that it's that next level to personal brand, going back
yeah,
to that. It's like,
yep,
how visible are you wanting yourself to be?
yeah,
And awards are a great way to do that, in that,
mm,
you get your name out there on a bigger scale and people see you as an authority
yeah,
figure. So, yes, from a marketing perspective, it's great. It's
yeah.
really good and it does play its role. I will say that, like you said, most people don't understand how it actually works. And I know people who do this for a business. Like, they help people to be nominated, write their scripts, write their application forms to get them as nominated for as many awards as they can. And so there's a real business and marketing behind
Mm.
everything that happens. And yes, understand exactly why they charge, because
Yeah,
there's a lot going on.
a lot of moving parts. I'm wondering if you can share one more pearl of wisdom around especially if women just aren't cognizant of it or just haven't really leveraged it yet. What's one more pearl around profitability in a personal brand?
Mm.
Maybe a lesser known one that you've witnessed in the club that you run in all of your years of all of your magic and multi-passionate
Yeah.
power.
I love this. There's so many ways I could answer this. So many things I could answer this with. I think the biggest one for me that I get so much joy out of sharing, because most of the time, our magic piece, our magic source, what we're here to actually do, our purpose, is the easiest thing of all.
Mm,
We spend so many years trying to uncover who we are, trying to mold ourselves into who we are and what we're here to be. And what I find with women, people I work with, it's usually the most simple thing that they do so well, that people see them for, that is actually where their magic is.
yeah.
It's not all the other things that they've gone to uni for, that they've trained for, it's the simplest thing that people will pay you ridiculous amounts for,
Yeah.
because you just are the embodiment of it.
Yeah.
And I just got shivers. I think this is, for me, this is what lights me up the most, is when I see someone who comes to me thinking that they're going to create this, and in
Yeah.
actual fact, we take all the layers off and we create this.
Yeah.
And it is with so much ease and flow and grace and magnetism
Yeah.
that people have no option but to pay you for it.
Yeah. They have no other option. They will pay.
Yeah, but we as humans, we just love to overcomplicate it.
Oh,
We just love to
totally.
just go round and round and round the bloody
Yeah.
whatever that is, roundabout.
Yeah.
Merry-go-round, that's the word I was looking
Merry-go-round. Yeah. I'm with you. I'm following. Yep. We're in the playground. Yep.
for.
I'm there.
And often we just actually need to hop off it
Yeah.
and just walk our own path.
Yeah.
We just get so caught up in what everyone else is doing. Imposter syndrome is such a thing now, especially with
Mhm.
social media.
Mm.
Not that I like labeling things, but it's the easiest way for people to understand that we do all compare ourselves. Like
Yeah.
there is definitely times where you're on social media and you just naturally get into this wormhole of
Yeah.
she's doing that. How is she doing that? Oh, she looks like she's doing that better than me. There's this whole comparison that as women especially, we really do take on everyone else's stuff and try to mold it for ourselves. But in actual fact, we're getting further and further away from our own
Mhm.
magic.
Yep. Yeah.
That one landed.
Yeah, it really did, because you're coming back to where allowing ourselves, or we're complicit in some way of disconnecting from our essence, which is really where our profitability is. Like
Mhm.
the essence of what we do, it was what you said when you first started speaking on this point, which was the thing that just feels so easy for us or so natural for us is going to be the thing that people praise. And
Yeah.
it's just, you're right. It's landing, totally
Mm.
overcomplicate it and get bogged down and get distracted. And we need to strip it the fuck back to
Yes.
what's the thing that I find easy, that I could do in my sleep, that I could explain to people how they can experience this
Mhm.
skill, power for themselves.
Yeah. And it's usually the magic piece usually comes as well from one of our hardest times or one of
Yeah.
our biggest milestone moments in our life where
Mhm.
at the time it may have looked awful and
Yeah.
didn't want to take it through the rest of your life, but it's actually been the thing that created who you are now.
Yeah.
And that's what people really want because they're probably there right now. So if you can help them see the light and see how you have gone from here to here,
Yeah.
that is what people will pay for.
Yes. Yeah. Because you're the shortcut.
Yes, exactly. And I will say on the pay for as well, I see so many, again, women especially, who undervalue their services,
Yeah.
totally undervalue themselves and their services.
Yeah.
And because we want to be everything for everyone, and
Yeah.
especially in the startup space, we really want to be, well, we can only charge this much because we want more clients, we need more clients, we need more exposure. But what I actually found, and I teach this to my clients now, is when I increased my packages 4 times within 6 months, I had more clients at the end of the 6 months paying the higher amount, a lot higher amount, than I did 6 months earlier. And it just goes to show that it's not about the money figure, it's about the value and the perceived
Yes.
value.
Yes.
You need to charge the value that you're worth.
Yeah.
And people will, it's the same as walking into Kmart and Prada. People still buy Prada bags, even though you can buy a bag from Kmart.
Yeah.
They buy it because it's the experience. It's the club that they want to be part of. It's how they want to feel when they purchase that.
Yeah.
When you can create that in your brand, people will pay whatever for you
Yeah.
because they want to be part of it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so true. And that's a major part of the profitability piece, that women are doing exactly the same energetics you just mentioned, getting bogged down, getting distracted, going for the more is more is more is more. And it's like, wait, subtract, scale it back, make it simple, put this up and see what happens. Be willing to see what happens and how people perceive you and what you do as inherently valuable. I think so many women don't realize there's safety in the bigger investment. There's actual, oh, I'm safe. I'm going to get the transformation. I'm going to get the outcome I desire. And women charging $100 an hour, 100 or whatever, there is a bandwidth of buyers and beyond that don't feel safe with those numbers.
That's right. Yeah. You think it is. You think
Yeah.
it's safe for them
Yeah,
because,
yeah,
oh, but they're
yeah.
only paying this much.
Yep. Only.
Yeah, but it's actually not. Yeah. I even know with my own mentors, the more I've invested, the more it's been harder to make that decision. Oh, there's a lot of money work
Yeah,
and limiting
yeah,
beliefs you need to
major.
work through to get there.
Yeah.
But working through those emotions and making that investment, I have tenfolded my business because you show up in a different way. You are a different being. You show up as a different person, but also the person you're paying this investment to holds you in a different way.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's just, again, it's an energetic match.
Yeah.
Be willing to invest and know that it's coming back
Yeah.
as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. I would love to know what is next for you. And if you can riff about inspired founders and what we can expect, I would love to hear more.
Yes. So Inspired Founders next event, 17th of October in Brisbane. It's so funny. I was like, yep, cool. Let's just do what we did last time. Let's just do it again. And I was originally going to take it to Sydney because I have a bit of a network in Sydney and I have some speakers down there. And I was originally going to take the next one to Sydney. And I was thinking, I had so many people who wanted to come to the last event who couldn't make it in Brisbane.
Yep.
And also, I was like, this is my hub. This is where I'm from. This is my community. I want to make this as big as I can here first and support the people here first before I take it nationally. So that was the biggest kind of change for me in the last few weeks. Next, I was like, actually, Priscilla, what really lights you up? What do you want to do next? So I just want you to think Bridgerton cross Priscilla's Wonderland.
Yeah.
That is the theme for the next event. I want to take everyone. I'm an ex-dancer, so I was a ballerina before I got into the world of business. And for me, it's always been about not so much being on stage, but giving people an experience, getting dressed up, feeling beautiful, feeling amazing within yourself, and creating an experience where people just they have those shifts that they didn't even know that they were going to have. And I know people had it at the last event, and this time it's just going to be next level.
Yeah.
Next level. So yeah, I'm really excited. We are going for bigger numbers this time. And we're about to launch the next ticket. So I'm really excited. So Inspired Founders, bigger and better. Just, I want to keep evolving it. And there is a hint that we could potentially be off to New York next year as well.
Oh, okay. Brisbane. That's a leap. That's a leap, and I'd come to expect that from you. Because of Puffing Horse.
I mean, we got to put speak it to the universe, right? We got to speak it out loud and make it happen.
It's absolutely true. Anyone listening, when you say and speak and voice your desires, you are way more likely to start taking the aligned action to make it happen, because you've got an accountability piece you didn't have when it was just
In your
revolving
mind.
around your head. Like it's one of the ways that I make things happen is I just either put it on a podcast or tell someone or put it on Instagram to say this is happening, and then I have to show up for it. Like,
Because
I've said it, of course. Like, you don't have an option. You have to show up.
Yeah. And I will say there was actually part of me that was like, oh, I'm going back on my word because I said we were going to Sydney. So when you do feel that as well, it's not always going back on yourself, but it's like if there's a realignment, if there's an adjustment that you have to change something slightly, then just be open and honest about it. Just share that's why we're doing this now, and keep speaking it into the universe. Keep speaking it out loud, because more and more will happen. It'll all just come into alignment.
Yeah, agreed. And there's so much about timing, even just going back to your experience of the lightning bolt with Inspired Founders, and Sydney isn't a no forever. It's just a not now.
Just a not now.
It will go there. It will.
Yeah.
I imagine. Like, it's
It
inevitable.
will.
And it's not you
We're
going
going
everywhere.
everywhere.
It's just like you said, you're repositioning, and it could be the timing's going to be even better, and the impact is going to be even deeper
Yeah.
in
Exactly.
future when you go.
Yeah.
Priscilla, where can we find you? There are multiple places.
There are.
Multiple places.
There is. Instagram is where I tend to hang out the most. So Priscilla Skippington on Instagram. Inspired Founders Official is on Instagram. Priscilla and Creative is on Instagram. I'm also about to launch the Priscilla website, which is coming, which is the next level, I think, of personal brand, which is what we've spoken about today. I have it on Instagram and I have it on Facebook, but the website is the next level for me to show that I have all these different aspects, but here's who I am as a person.
Yeah, amazing. Well, we're following and there's more coming in person and online from you. So if you can get to one of Priscilla's events, you will be surprised. You will be delighted. You will leave illuminated. Get there.
Thank
Thanks so
you.
much for being on the podcast today, Priscilla.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
I trust that this episode has whet your appetite to add more precision to your power. If you're naturally left wanting more, head to laurenwhite.com.au/private to learn exactly how you and I can work together. And if you yearn to give a little back after crushing on the podcast, share it privately with your favorite woman in business, or hit subscribe and leave a captivating review so that more women can access the inevitability of a white hot business.